You've worked hard your whole life, you've saved a bunch of money, and now you're retired. But here's the secret. The way your portfolio, your investment allocations are today might not be the way they should be forever. Life changes, markets change, risk tolerances change. So if you don't change your portfolio could get out of whack. We call it out of balance. And so that's what I want to talk with you about today. The art of rebalancing your portfolio. So first up, what is rebalancing your portfolio? What does that even mean, right? Well, rebalancing your portfolio, think of it as making sure that the investments that you have match your goals, risk tolerance, and what you're trying to accomplish throughout retirement. So let's say that you're one where you want to have a 60-40 split in your portfolio. 60% of your portfolio being in stocks and 40% of your portfolio being in more conservative fixed income or bonds. Okay? But let's say that the stock market has done great and you've seen that the stock portion of your portfolio has ballooned, has grown from 60% of your current portfolio to now it's 70% or 75%. That's great, right? Well, yeah, because you're making money, but it could also be kind of a detrimental thing for your overall risk exposure. And that's something you really want to pay attention to because it gets you out of whack. You've set up your portfolio based on, hey, I know my risk and a 60-40 split works for me. But once you have an out of whack portfolio like that and your stock piece grows, then you're taking on more risk than probably you're comfortable with. And so that's where rebalancing comes into play. Okay, so rebalancing your portfolio, there's a couple different ways that you can go about doing this. The first way to do it is what's called a time-based rebalance. This is basically saying, hey, twice a year or once a year, you're going to look at your portfolio and see how you're allocated. Are you still in that 60-40 split or is it out of whack at some point? And that's where you're going to make some changes. Some people say, hey, July 1st and January 1st, they're going to look at their portfolio and if it's out of whack, they're going to change it. Okay. Another strategy to do this is what's called the threshold-based rebalancing. So this one is probably for the people that pay attention more to their portfolio because it states, hey, when my allocations get out of whack by 5% or 10% or 15%, then they're making the adjustments at that point in time. And it can be both on the stock or the bond side. Remember, if the bonds are overweighted, you could actually not grow your portfolio enough in retirement. So you want to make sure that you have both stocks and bonds properly allocated for whatever your goals are in retirement. So how do you go about rebalancing your portfolio, right? Well, what do you do? Well, if you're retired, a great strategy to kind of rebalance your portfolio almost in an automatic way would be if you're taking money from the portfolio, well, take that money from the strategies or allocations that are out of whack. Okay, so let's say that the stock market has done well and you like that 60-40 split and the stock piece has grown from 60% to 75%. Well, if you've been pulling income from the bond piece of your portfolio, you should switch to pull from the stock piece of your portfolio to take money out and get that stock piece back into balance. And one thing you want to think about with this is make sure you're avoiding the emotional decision with this because it can kind of seem a little counterintuitive, right? Your stock piece of the portfolio is doing so well, it's growing a lot. You're like, well, why do I want to touch it now, right? Well, let's keep it going. Well, we know the market, it is like a roller coaster ride. It goes up and down. So probability, it's probably going to come back down, right? So selling high is usually not a bad thing. And that's kind of what I'm talking about there is set up your income stream to rebalance that portfolio in a way to make sure that stocks and bonds don't get out of whack. So if you have questions on where you're currently at with your portfolio, how you're allocated, are you balanced? Are you taking on the amount of risk that you think you're taking on? Well, don't hesitate. Give the number on the screen a call, schedule a free, no obligation consultation where we can help you plan to retire well.